Deputy Ambassador, we've heard from the Deputy Russian Defense Minister today saying that Russian forces are pulling back from around Kiev and Chernihiv in the north of Ukraine. Can you confirm that this is a withdrawal? What's going on?
I heard that the intensity of our operation in Chernihiv and Kiev regions will be less than it was before. I haven't heard about any withdrawal.
What is the aim of the negotiations now?
I think it's a peace treaty between Russia and Ukraine, we started this special military operation to achieve certain objectives, and it's up to our leaders, of course, to discuss and to agree on the details that would be convenient for both sides and that would be able to safeguard the population of Donbas, which was suffering for 8 years from Ukrainian shelling.
Right, so the objective seems to have changed since the beginning of this military action. Are you saying it is now just about Donbas?
If you were attentive at the beginning when President Putin was announcing this operation, he said that this was the operation for bringing peace to Donbas. So demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine and the primary objective was always Donbas.
So why did you attack Kiev?
We didn't attack Kiev, as far as I understand. We encircled Kiev and there are our troops on the outskirts of Kiev. But I don't think we attacked Kiev as you formulated.
Well, it depends how you define attack. You've been sending missiles and artillery into the areas approaching Kiev, and your soldiers have been there. There's been a lot of fighting around those areas. So, definitions are up to individuals, but that's what I mean by attack Kiev. You sent troops towards Kiev, and now those troops are pulling back.
As I formulated at the beginning, about less intense military operation, but not from pulling back. And by attacking, you mean attacking the city? We didn't attack the city. We attacked military installations in the city and outside of the city within the framework of the objective to demilitarize Ukraine.
But you've hit lots of places all around Ukraine. You've even hit places here in Lviv, in the far west, and you've hit residential buildings and blocks where people live, which are clearly not military objectives.
We do not target civilian population and civilian infrastructure. That was stated from the outset, and a lot of information that is being spread about this is false.
You may not be targeting civilian places, but you're hitting them.
I haven't heard about any occasion of us deliberately hitting civilian infrastructure. The most notorious cases.
Are you really saying that every residential block hit has been hit by accident?
I'm not aware of a number of residential blocks hit, but I heard also about the two most notorious cases that are being attributed to Russia traditionally: the Mariupol nursery hospital and Mariupol theater. And both cases were debunked by us repeatedly, but they still are being attributed to Russia.
Well, they haven't been debunked, they've just been denied. You've offered no evidence and you haven't allowed independent or external observers or foreign journalists in to see any of it. That's not debunking, that's just denying it. But when it comes to residential buildings, in Mariupol, in Chernihiv, in lots of places, huge swathes of residential areas have been totally destroyed. Are you saying that all of these places had military installations or people firing from them, or that they were hit by accident? It's just not credible.
First of all, I'm not there on the ground, so I have to rely on the evidence of those who are there, and I don't trust video images, because video images can easily be mastered and tempered, and there were a lot of cases.
But you have the luxury of living in America, so you can see the video coming in from independent journalists that your countrymen can't, because you censor it on Russian television. So you've seen all these images, you can see the truth.
I haven't seen any videos coming from independent journalists here, frankly, and I have the disadvantage of living in the United States of America, unfortunately, so of working here. So really, it's not the kind of evidence that would be trustworthy to me. And you said that we denied these cases. We did not deny it. I mean, in Mariupol, we debunked them. At the meeting of the Security
No,
Council,
you haven't
we
debunked them.
warned.
How?
We had, and with all your, I will explain
Where is
to
your
you
evidence?
how. We warned 3 days in advance before there was this incident in the nursery house, that this nursery house is abandoned and it is taken by the militants from Azov.
No, that's just a claim. There's no evidence and no proof. I mean, you still deny having bombed it, don't you?
And everything you say are also claims. And how can you debunk what I'm saying?
Well, to debunk something is to prove something is untrue. You haven't done that. You've just said we didn't bomb it.
Well, I have told you that we warned in advance that we are not going to bomb it, that this is a provocation, and that this building,
Yes,
in case of the nursery, is not used by, it's not a medical facility anymore. We warned it 3 days in advance. Don't you think it's enough to debunk it?
well, no, because I've seen the video footage and mobile phone footage from people on the ground, both at the maternity hospital and at the theatre, that suggests that civilians were hurt very badly in both of those sites. And what you're asking the world to believe is that the Ukrainians are killing their own people, which is just not credible to most people. I mean, Mr. Polyansky, I don't know whether you can hear, but the air raid siren is going off here, and I'm in Lviv. You told me at the beginning of this interview that you're only concentrating on Donbass. Why are you sending anything into Lviv airspace in the west of Ukraine?
I think
This has got nothing to do with Donbass. It's hundreds of miles away.
First of all, there might be some military installations. Secondly, that might be some weaponry sent by the West, which is a legitimate target for us, as it was declared.
Do you really believe everything you're saying? I mean, I know it's your job to say this, but do you really believe it?
I do believe it, and I have witnesses that indicate this way.
I have spoken to people as well who have come out of these places. I've met them. I believe what they tell me. I've seen the pictures on their phones. I've seen the videos. Now, either this is the most elaborate, lie involving hundreds of thousands of people who've all managed to create Hollywood-type effects on their personal devices, or there's some truth to it.
It's enough, I think you don't need to bother Hollywood. It's enough to refer to the experience of white helmets who have been staging chemical provocations for years, and you were claiming that they are okay, when there are even specialists saying that it is not true. So don't trust the videos, trust people.
Well,
I also have evidence.
Aleppo there in Syria, where I've also been and seen the results of Russian bombing. Now, you can deny all of these things, but are you saying that you don't believe there are any innocent victims in your war, that you're not killing people, even if it's by accident?
Well, there might be, of course, some collateral victims. I'm using the American term in this word. I don't know, because if you are putting a rocket fire system in front of a house, and if this rocket fire system is being hit, of course there can be victims because of this.
Will Russia allow independent investigators to investigate the question of war crimes in Ukraine?
Well, first of all, I think it's much above my payroll, the question that you are asking, and we're not at this stage yet when we can think about the aftermath of the military operation, because the military operation is continuing. But Russia is not committing military crimes in Ukraine. You should concentrate on the crimes by Ukrainian nationalists and by territorial defense.
You're not in a position to judge that, are you, as you admit?
Of course, I am a diplomat. I'm not a specialist on these issues. But again, I can tell you that the aims of the military operation is not targeting civilians. It's absolutely different.
No, but it is doing. It's hitting them. I mean, you're either very bad at hitting the military, or you are firing knowing that they will hit civilians.
You know what? We could easily accept American logic of waging the war. We could easily erase cities like Mosul or Raqqa from the face of the earth. But that's not what we are doing. That's why the military operation is not going very fast, because we don't want to target civilians, and we want them to get evacuated, and then for us to fight the nationalists and the radicals.
Then why don't you allow civilian corridors out of the cities that you're attacking?
Why do you make such claims? We do it daily. We announce corridors, including here in
because
the
I've spoken
UN.
to people who come out of those cities who tell me they couldn't get out because you were bombing them.
No, that's not true. We're not bombing them. We absolutely guarantee humanitarian corridors. And have you asked people about who was firing at them, who is killing, who is firing at cars trying to get evacuated with light arms and small weapons?
And it is absolutely true that the Ukrainians also stopped people leaving places like Mariupol on certain days because they told them it wasn't safe to leave. I accept that. But it's also true that you didn't agree to humanitarian corridors to let people out, and thousands of people have died.
That's absolutely not true. We agreed on humanitarian corridors. We agree to them daily, and we distribute this information here in the UN as official documents as well. So this is absolutely not true.
When you say you're focusing on the Donbass, what is the final status that you want?
We want peace in Donbass, the peace that they couldn't get for 8 years. That's the final idea of the whole thing.
You say that the negotiators report to the president.
Yes.
Is there anybody else involved, or is he decides everything?
Well, president decides the issues of foreign policy and many other things according to Russian constitution. The negotiating team is comprised of several ministries, including Russian foreign ministry, but I know that the final decision and such things is taken by the president.
Do you think we will see progress this week?
It depends. It depends on the attitude of Ukrainian side, first and foremost, on how cooperative is Ukrainian side.
I just want to ask you, the last time we spoke to you, and the time before that, you assured us that there were no plans to invade Ukraine, that Russia was not going to attack Ukraine. Did you just not know what was happening? Or were you deliberately telling me something that you knew wasn't true?
I always said that unless we are provoked or unless the military operation, the Ukraine doesn't go unless Ukraine doesn't go with its plans for military operation in Donbass, and that's what happened actually.
You said our questions were hysterical and that the claims that there was going to be a war were ridiculous and strange. And it turned out that there was a war. Now, you can justify it now by saying you were provoked. But the Americans were right, the intelligence was right, the questions were right.
The Americans were wrong in one thing, that because they didn't want to acknowledge that Ukraine is planning to carry out a military operation in Donbass. And again, there is no war. There is a special military operation of Russia in Ukraine. These are two different things.
The trouble is, you say when the Ukrainians are fighting, it's a war. When Russia is fighting, it's a special military operation. Well, we must leave it there. Deputy Ambassador, Mr. Polyansky, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much. Take care.